Hi. So in this exercise, capitalizing sentences, we'll be doing test-driven development in Node, and we'll be making good use of array.slice, showing a couple of great examples of how that can really make code be a lot simpler and easier to read. This episode will also focus on good naming, something that I try to do throughout, and I think this episode gives particularly good examples of how well-named functions, variables, references, methods, classes can be really useful, although we won't be using classes in this one. And I'll be driving development. Okay, let's get set up. I'm going to share this setup between all of my exercises to make it a little bit easier. So let's get going. So I'm going to create a directory to work in, app. And you see our Explorer here is keeping up with us. This is VS Code. I'm going to go into that directory, and I'm going to use Node. So I'm going to create my package.json file. There it is. It's a simple template. And let's start installing the tools I'm going to use. So, and they're going to be dev tools. So first of all, for testing, Mocha and Chai, Chai for expectations. And then ESLint and ESLint plugin Mocha, because I'm using Mocha. Alright, and then one final thing while I'm at it, I might as well install NYC for code coverage while I'm here. It's a successor to Istanbul. Okay, good, so that's the three of those. You can see our package.json file. It's got our dependencies. It doesn't do anything with our test command yet, so I need to fix that. But first of all, let's copy in this ESLint RC YAML file that I've got. And you can see here, there's a ton of rules. I love having loads of rules to guide me, you know, in errors and warnings. So it's very, very handy. I love that. All right, that's the ESLint YAML file. And here's our scripts where we want to actually put in running tests. So let's put in the actual command we're going to use, which is going to be Mocha. We'll just use the top level, anything that's called star.test.js. Okay, so we should actually be pretty close to be able to run tests. Let's try to do it with npm test. And no files found, but no actual error. So let's go ahead. We'll use index because that's what the auto generation of the package.json used. And we'll put in our index.test.js, which is actually the file it'll recognize. Alright, so it's green. No test, but the framework's there. Alright, so let's put in the other pieces now. Let's put in the linting, which is going to be our pre-test, so it's going to run before the tests can even run, and that's going to be ESLint everything. And while we're here, let's put in our code coverage, and that's going to be the NYC npm run test. So that's close to all of the pieces we need. We can run our tests again to make sure that they work, and we can run code coverage to make sure that that works. And you can see that we didn't have any files again, but this is the expected output that we've got. So we've got our linting, our testing, our code coverage, our basic files set up here, NYC output for code coverage output. So we're pretty much ready to go. So now we can go ahead and create the actual app. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so let's get our first two files here, index and the test file, and make sure we can run tests. Good, nothing but they pass. And let's use strict. Let's actually put that in both files while we're at it. Always a good practice to remember to do that right off the bat. All right, now let's include our testing library, our expect with chai dot expect. Okay. And let's include our source file, our application file. Let's give it a name for this function. At this point, it's going to be called capitalize, at least for now. So let's include our index file on top. And let's write that test. First test we can write. The quicker we can write it, the better. So let's define it well. So it's capitalize all sentences for a paragraph of text. Make sure we describe it well so that we stay on track for doing the right answer. So the first example will be to call the function for one letter. Let's try and be as simple as we possibly can. So let's get that. And let's use a format here of setting the result. We'll call that capitalized function. We decided to name with a lowercase a. So the result should be equal to an uppercase a. That's about as simple as example we can come up with, other than passing nothing. But maybe we don't want to do that yet. All right. Missing semicolons here, and here we're actually missing the paren as well, so that's because I put it here. Okay, let's run that. Alright, capitalize is not a function, so let's go ahead and create that in our file here. So we'll use the module.exports approach, .js, and so let's just start off with this, just having one function, so we won't even need to name it here. We'll say we'll pass in a paragraph, and we'll pass it back with 2 uppercase. So for one letter, that'll probably work just as is. Let's try and do the simplest thing we can do. Missing semicolon here. Add that in. Great. Alright, we got a test passing. So let's immediately try and write a second one. So one letter worked. Let's jump up to one word. So let's just put in the word simple here. If I can, oops, correct my spelling. Hold on. There. Okay. So that should be a capitalized word, simple. Okay. And it fails because the whole word was capitalized. Kind of what we expected. I like the way we named it paragraph, so it kind of suggests that the whole paragraph is going to be capitalized. So let's try and get that first letter out of our paragraph. For now, it's okay. It's just a word. So that would be the 0. String lets us do that. And then the rest of the letters, okay, well that's going to be this original paragraph that was passed in. And we're going to want, we can use substring here. And we want to go from the first character, which is position 1, which is the second character, to the end, which is the paragraph.length. So we can do that, and then let's just call it result for right now is our first letter plus the rest of the letters. So that ungrades them, showing they're being used, and then we just return. I think we're going to return our result here. So, and if we do that, we'll put our uppercase, excuse me, here on line 4. Alright. I think that's good. Let's try that out. Excellent, both passing. Alright, so this is a little bit wordy here. Substring of 1, a paragraph length. So, is there a better way we could do this? And there's a really nice way if we want everything from the first character forward. We use splice. It's a lovely method with a lot of different uses. And here, that'll do exactly what we were doing before. So let's try that out. Nice. Passed right away. So, get rid of the comment. And let's see, what would our next test case be? Well, we did one letter, we did one word. We're supposed to be doing this paragraph, so now we can graduate up to one sentence. Let's give it a sentence to do. So we'll call it, this is a simple sentence. Let's call it that. And that should give us back, this is a simple sentence. And actually we want to lowercase that. Okay. That's what we want. Let's try running that, and then it works. Nice. Because we're still already dealing with one sentence. So let's jump up and deal with 2 sentences. So let's make this example be for 2 sentences. Okay. And so we'll separate them with a period. So we'll go to the end of this and period space. Here is another. And now we should get the second sentence capitalized as well. So let's see. And it didn't. Not too unexpected because the code doesn't do enough to do that yet. Alright. So let's take a look. So this does one sentence and we want to do more than one. So we need to take this paragraph and break it out into sentences. We've reached that point. So we want to end up with this array of sentences. So if we take paragraph, one of the ways we can get that to be an array is to split it on these, maybe on the period. Try doing, or actually the period space might be better. So let's try doing that. All right. So now we've got this array. So we know we're going to want to go through the array. And each array, each element will be a sentence at this point, based on the dot space. So this is where the naming is great for sentence of sentences. Maybe it's a little too close, but kind of like it. And now we're going to do all of the things we did before for each sentence. So, whoops, I'm sorry. So we're gonna accumulate. So let's give us something to accumulate all this into. We'll call it new sentences. That's going to be our return paragraph, basically. So here we want to take what we've figured out here and add it on to. Sorry, let's name this sentence. No, actually, let's leave the result for now. Sorry. Actually sentence here, because now we're going through the sentences. It's not going to be just the paragraph. Alright, so let's do that. I haven't run it in a while. What's going on? Sentences is not assigned because we have not used it. So let's, as we're going through, let's add on our result onto that. That didn't fix it because, let's see, seems like that should actually work. New sentences is here. Assigned a value but never used. Okay. So, sorry, I did a little investigation there. We should have been returning new sentences. That was the problem here. Oh. Actually, there's one more. See, it's not returning all the sentences, and that is because the return was in the wrong place. A little bit subtle on that error. Okay, so it's nearly there. It's missing a period and a space because that's what we use to split. So those get removed. So we could add in, or we'll need to add back in the thing that we used to split on, which was the quote space. Put another space in here for formatting. Semicolon. Okay, let's try that. And it's good, but now there's a period at the end. Boy, so I think what we can do here, because it's the very last sentence, is we can just trim it off. It's kind of a brute force approach, maybe, but maybe it'll work. And this has actually still got an issue here because there's a space as well. So maybe we just do this brute force approach. Whoops. That's -1. Okay. Alright, so I've got 4 passing tests, and we've actually got a warning here. It would rather we use prefer template. And the only problem with that is that space is kind of hard to see, and if we use a template string, it's actually gonna make it really hard to see. So we could do this. We could do a ESLint disable line for that error down here, the prefer template, and that'll give us let's give us a bit more space here. So that would get rid of it. I hate having the linting lines, so I really want to see if there's a way I can satisfy all my requirements here to not have the linting lines and have the space be really clear. And so let's do the template string that it's suggesting. Let's put that together and let's see how it looks. So let's make a copy of this. Keep it up there for reference. So template string. So we'll have the first letter, then the rest of the letters, then those bits, which is just what I'm afraid of. That space is not very visible, but let's see if this actually works. Let's try running that. Wow, passes. Alright, how can we make that space more visible? One way we can do it is just literally define what we've got here. It's actually a period and a space, not a comma or whatever. Now it's really going to jump out, and no one's going to accidentally delete that period space there, because we're going to spell out. We're missing a close here. Spell it out. Alright, I kind of like that. Now it's a lot more specific. Good, so all of those pass. Alright, so now let's move on to our next test case here. So not surprisingly, if we did 2 sentences, it might be good to jump onto 3. So let's do this as 3 sentences. So we'll go down to our text here, and again with a period, we'll add on and a third. And maybe we can shorten this. It's getting a little bit long here. We don't need to have all of this to test this condition. Okay, so now let's go to result, which we also want to be the same. This is one. Capitalized now. Here is another. And shouldn't be starting with an and, but for this test that's fine. If I can spell it right. Whoops. And a third. Okay. So that's what 3 sentences should give. And it worked. Just worked without any changes, which is pretty nice. So now we might think of some sad cases perhaps, if it's working for all of these. And maybe we'll try out 3 dots, like a dot dot dot, example kind of thing, trailing off, and see how that works. So we can go back to something pretty simple here. We could say handles, 3 dots, dot dot dot, works okay. Throw in some capitalization just down there, just to see if that's okay while we're at it. Alright, so that should become handles, 3 dot 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 dot, works okay with the works capitalized. Alright, so let's actually something's not right here. We're missing the semicolon and the close paren. Alright, the editors, I'm not, okay, good. So that actually worked right off the bat as well. A bit of a run here. So what else could we do? Well, what about existing capital? What if it's already capitalized in some place? Something we would normally be capitalizing. So let's do something like this. That's a fairly simple 3 sentences, and the middle one's capitalized. Get rid of all of this. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So let's just copy all of this, paste it here, and put in our quotes. So those 3 T's should be capitalized. Alright, let's run that. Yes. Alright, so one more case we could try here. What about all the cases we've done so far didn't have a dot at the end? So what about a dot at the end? What if there's already, get rid of this third sentence. What if there's a period here, which we didn't have at the end of 2 in the other examples? So uncapitalize it just to make sure it's doing its job. So here we are just ending right here, but we should keep the period. Right. Yes. Okay, that worked as well. All right, I think there's maybe one last test we could do. It's tempting to run away at this point, but I think the last one might stretch a little bit. So will it handle a carriage return? You know, a slash n. Would it handle slash n? So if it was this is 1, so let's say our text here was pick up a new sentence. Longer is known, slash n, shorter, which is not capitalized, shorter is not, period at the end. So that's so that should give us, go here, we can just copy it again. Whoops, wrong paste buffer, sorry, let's grab this, paste that, okay, get rid of that. Alright, so let's see if that handles capitalizing that, and it, missing a semicolon and a close parens, put those in, and token, same here, we need a close semicolon, okay. Alright, so that didn't work. Didn't work as we thought it would. It didn't put in, it didn't capitalize there, which is kind of interesting. So it might not be obvious immediately why it didn't, but what's going on here is there isn't actually a space after the period. So that's why it isn't doing it. So if we say that that's what we actually expect, now it will actually pass. So that was the last little wrinkle that we had. Let's go back to that. So other than that, if we actually say that we know it's not gonna do that, it will pass. Sorry. What I mean by that is if I change this to be lowercase s and run the test like that, then the test will pass. Sorry, that was a bit confusing. Okay, now they're all passing because that is what it does, even if it wasn't what we wanted originally. Okay, so we've got all of our tests, and I think we're good to go. Thank you.